The WNBA is a unique market, right? It moves a little bit different. You take a bet, a limit play, even if the limit is 2 dimes on the side, you don't go from 11.5 to 12. You know what I mean? You got to go. Because if they bet you the second number, then you go, oh boy, now we have a decision that we really didn't think we got a big decision. Books love decisions.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Watch out for USA and Canada in 4 years. Like cricket's going to be a sport that's growing.
I made my first cricket bet last week or over the weekend. I was getting a team that was leading like 150 to 5 plus odds. I'm like, I'm up 150 points and I'm getting plus odds. Where do I sign? I love this cricket stuff. What are you kidding me?
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Now joins that team in Sacramento with the Kings. De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, Devin Carter, who they drafted early, Keegan Murray as well. A Kings team, DRS, that has been a playoff contender.
Is it going to equate to a championship? Probably not. That's not the goal. Make your team better every offseason. The Kings definitely got better with that move here, Ben.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
A new week starts right here, right now, live on this Monday morning on the early line on SportsGrid. All across that SportsGrid network. It includes sportsgrid.com/watch, where you can find your favorite destination to consume everything all across the grid. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. This new week starts on a Monday in the Major League Baseball All-Star break, where the long ball reigns supreme tonight in the heart of Texas. In Arlington, the 2024 Home Run Derby. The final weekend of the first half before the All-Star break around the major leagues. We recap and review for you here bright and early on this Monday. But DRS, not just baseball, a weekend full of championships. The summer of soccer coming to a close yesterday. The Copa America final in Miami. What a scene it was between Argentina and Colombia in the European Championships between Spain and England earlier in the afternoon in Berlin. We had some more action on the grass at Wimbledon and on the PGA Tour and DP World Tour over at the Scottish Open. So much to bring for you here over these 3 hours. New week, new money, as Donnie Rightside likes to say.
And nothing to spend it on this week because most of the sports are going on hiatus at this point. So last week, went out with a flurry, had a great week with RBI props, had some fun here on the network on Saturday, and now we take a look at this week. Now, as you know me, Ben, I like to be the commissioner of just about every sport I can get my hands on. Hear me out. Just hear me out here with soccer. We don't need a first half. Soccer should be 45 minutes long because nothing happens typically in the first half. So if we remove the 45 minutes and just play 45 minutes, it's action all the way through. Everybody would love it.
I mean, Donnie's not incorrect. There does seem to be the ramped up in intensity as you get later into the game, like extra time at the Copa America title tilt or in that second half between England and Spain. We recap the scores in just a moment. But first, we start potentially with a new era in the world of tennis. On full display yesterday for the gentlemen's final at the Championships Wimbledon. Carlos Alcaraz and Novak Djokovic, a rematch of the 2023 Wimbledon men's final, which went to 5 sets. Djokovic and Alcaraz pushing each other to the very end. Yesterday, the 21-year-old Spaniard Alcaraz wins his second consecutive Wimbledon championship in straight sets over Novak Djokovic in dominant fashion. 6-2, 6-2, 7-6 in that third and final, the fourth career Grand Slam victory already for the 21-year-old Carlos Alcaraz.
And we say already, too, because he's in his early 20s, which means the passing of the torch looks like it's been taking place in tennis. And now we might have a decade plus of excellence coming from Carlos Alcaraz. But you can't take anything away from Novak Djokovic. I mean, this guy has been a champion his entire career. And sometimes you run out of time, which means you're getting older. The young cats are coming in. Now Alcaraz has a couple Wimbledon championships under his belt. Maybe this is his tournament. And it wasn't like this went 4 or 5 sets at this point. 3 of them. That's all it took. And also 6-2, 6-2, 7-6. Dominating performance by Alcaraz. Looks like he's here to stay as that true number one.
Alcaraz plus 230 before Wimbledon began, the second best price, only behind world number one entering the tournament. That was Jannik Sinner. Fourth Grand Slam in the history for Carlos Alcaraz, the third youngest man to ever win 4 Grand Slams at this stage of his career. Barbora Krejcikova winning on Saturday in the women's final as well. Krejcikova, as I get her name correct, one final time. Elsewhere in the continent of Europe, the Euro final on Sunday afternoon over in Berlin, Spain and England. A similar story for the English, getting to the end, but coming up so short of their first major international tournament title since 1966. As a new era for Spain begins. 2-1 victory over the English in the European Championships final. Spain was a minus 138 favorite to hoist that cup as they do. The 4th ever Euro title for Spain. That is the most all-time in the history of the Euros.
A certainly exciting second half, no doubt there. 0-0 at the half. You take a look at that goal right off the bat by Spain, countered by England, and an amazing goal by Spain in the 86th minute. Crazy instances all throughout where England had chances to tie that game up. Just wasn't going to happen, and I guess it's just not coming home just yet at this point. It's been a long time since England's won a major event. They keep getting and knocking on the door. Sooner or later, you expect them to pull through. Maybe this was their best chance. Weren't able to come away with the title.
Mikel Oyarzabal, the guy to net the game-winning goal for the Spanish side in the 86th minute. All of the scoring happening in the second half. First, it was Nico Williams in the 47th minute for the Spaniards. Then it was Cole Palmer extending and equalizing for the English side in the 73rd minute, only for Spain to find that game winner once again in some wonderful defense at the end. England had a couple of chances. Danny Olmo, not the goalkeeper, but using his head near the net. Now we go to the Copa America final in Miami. That kickoff was delayed due to Miami being overwhelmed inside Hard Rock Stadium by fans that were breaking through the gates, some ticketed, some not, before the match even got underway. Then they finally said, the security staff at Hard Rock Stadium, just let them all in. It was a mad rush. It was a frenzy. It was a debacle. People were climbing in through the ventilation system. Now to the actual game. Argentina wins, scoring a goal in the 112th minute as they win Copa America for the third consecutive time. They won it in 2021. They were the World Cup champions in 2022, and now a Copa America crown here in 2024.
Yeah, pretty impressive. And also, you take a look at one of those Miami nights where it was 85 degrees at night with the real feel humidity at 95. You saw those guys sweating it up right away. And also, that is an extra-packed crowd. The one thing we love about Miami is when they put on a spectacle, like a Super Bowl, an Orange Bowl, or even a big game, which Miami has once in a while, talking about the Hurricanes here. It's an awesome stadium to watch you play out. But I think even the most keen viewer looked at that stadium and goes, that looks a little bit extra crowded tonight as compared to what I see for like Dolphins or Miami Hurricanes games. Why? Because nobody sits down. And also, imagine paying for lower-level seats about $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 and showing up to your what you thought was your row or seat, and instead of having 25 people in that row, there's 55 people in the row. It's a good thing nobody sits down because technically you don't need seats. But I got to tell you, if I paid money to go to that competition and I didn't actually get a seat, I would want my money back. And I imagine there's a lot of people with class action lawsuits ready to go there, with even people having tickets and not even being allowed in due to the overcrowding. Think about that.
A stark reminder that Omaha, Nebraska will always be a far supreme hosting venue than that of Miami, Florida. Yeah. Now we go to the Scottish Open, where for the first time in 2.5 decades, the man known as Bob from Open Scotland Robert McIntyre wins the Scottish Open at 18 under par in his native land, victorious. He eagled his 16th hole. He birdied his 18th and final of the tournament to come all the way back to win the Scottish Open, his second PGA Tour career victory in the last 2 months.
Yeah, pretty impressive there, and also a comeback victory. Watching that with my guy Ludwig Aubert on Saturday, finishing with, he said, you know what, he's probably going to win this tournament. And he went from, I believe, like a plus 350 during that round when he was tied, all the way to like a minus 175 at least heading into Sunday. So I was surprised to see those results, but I know a lot of people here on the Sports Grid Network were teeing it up there, and Robert McIntyre, he cashes in. And this week, we have the Open Championship, which is going to be tremendous to watch that play out.
Royal Troon in Scotland, the fourth and final major championship this year in men's golf. Now, quickly, some Major League Baseball news. Plenty more from the end of this weekend before the All-Star break later on. The Orioles walk it off yesterday due to some fielding gaffes by the Yankees in the ninth to avoid a sweep. And Travis Bazzana, he goes first overall in the MLB draft, the second baseman out of Oregon State. Ozzie. He's an Australian. He goes first overall to the Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah, a lot of impressive players coming out of college this year. A lot of guys that can hit tanks there, which includes a few of those guys like Jack Caglione. We'll see how these guys progress and how quickly they can get to the majors.
Plenty more around the WNBA later in this show, but a quadruple header on a Sunday and some great results to bring. Now we go to the weekend that was. Up next.
It is Canada. You know, Canada is one of those teams that's the darling of the tournament right now. They're still 9-1.
To win a tournament, or even to advance far into a tournament like this, you need a bit of good fortune. And it doesn't matter if you're getting the good fortune that Canada has, where they played 2 matches where they were up a man, or you had the good fortune of Argentina, who's one of the best teams in the world, who just got on the good side of the draw.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I want to know, too, what was the highest you ever got on both of those metrics?
So the highest club head speed I've ever gotten with a 45-inch driver, we'll just say stock, was, I think it was 129.9. I never cracked 130. Never cracked 130. That was juice. That was on caffeine. I can't even talk. And then I got 195 ball speed.
195 ball speed.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
this
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
A weekend full of championships all around the landscape of sports. Most of those happening across the pond on grass at the All England Club in London. That's the championships, Wimbledon. Of course, we had the Euro Championship final. That game over in Berlin between Spain and England, and so much more to break down for you here as we get ready to stay within attention across the pond for this week's Open Championship over at Royal Troon in Scotland. DRS, we start with maybe a changing of the guard, at least the solidification of a new era in men's tennis. The 21-year-old Carlos Alcaraz, dominant yesterday in going back-to-back at Wimbledon. Wins over Novak Djokovic in 2023 and 2024. Last year in a 5-set thriller. This year, much quicker, much easier for Alcaraz. 6-2, 6-2, 7-6. That's a victory in straight sets. And Novak Djokovic looked like he was showing his age. Carlos Alcaraz, not so much. The 21-year-old Spaniard, already 4 Grand Slam titles to his name.
Yeah, if you're 25 years old, right, Ben, you could bounce back pretty quickly from a knee injury and try to play in the next major championship, which is what Djokovic did. So you take a look at yourself and you say, wow, just him getting into the finals actually was an accomplishment. Now, granted, Novak's not going to look at it that way and say to himself, like, well, yeah, that was my goal, just to make it to the final. No, he wanted to win that thing. But I think it's an awesome accomplishment where even at his age, able to get his knee back in shape enough to be ultra competitive at Wimbledon was saying something. But then there's Carlos Alcaraz on the opposite side of the table. This is the passing of the guard here where you're saying, all right, over the next 10 years, how many championships can he absolutely rack up? And the one thing, I believe I saw the statistic here was that, 4-time Grand Slam champion, but I want to say he's 4-0 in those championship finals.
Correct.
Which means he has that pedigree to say, hey, look, it's a learning curve. Made 3 of them, didn't win, finally won one. Now I'm going to see what I can do. That's not the case at this point. He's getting to championships and is good enough to win those championships. And in an age of, 20 to 21 years old, that is absolutely phenomenal. So moving forward now, he's never going to get into a match in a championship level, even against a dominant player, and say, hey, I can't do this. He's beating the best repeatedly on a championship level. That's what's most important right now. And maybe he can have one of those runoffs where, hey, 6, 7, 8, or 9-0 in championship rounds. That would be something to behold.
All of our tennis information and knowledge courtesy of our producer, Joe Frizo, not only a stat guy, but also a tennis aficionado. The 4 Grand Slam finals and victories for Carlos Alcaraz, 2023, 2024, Wimbledon, 2022, United States Open, 2024, French Open final as well. He is the second man ever in the history of tennis to win their first 4 consecutive Grand Slam finals alongside Roger Federer, who started a perfect 7-0 in his first 7 Grand Slam finals. 4-time Grand Slam champion. Carlos Alcaraz on the men's side now, already the 3rd most Grand Slam championships among active men's tennis players, only behind Rafael Nadal, who might not be active all that much longer, with 22 Grand Slam victories. And, of course, Novak Djokovic at 24 Grand Slam titles as well. There was a time when the Joker was unbeatable on grass at Wimbledon. Not the last few years against Carlos Alcaraz. Women's final on Saturday afternoon. Barbora Krejcikova getting a victory as well. For her, DRS, just her second Grand Slam title as an individual, but had won 7 doubles in terms of Grand Slam championships as well. Krejcikova outlasting Jasmine Paolini in that Grand Slam final. And for the last 8 years, DRS, at Wimbledon, we have seen 8 different women go home as the champion. There's been some chaos in the women's draw at Wimbledon.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes you don't like to see it because it's typically the superstars you want to see in the final. You got that with the men, no doubt about it. You didn't get that with the women. That adds intrigue, but also that adds opportunity for handicappers. The 31st seed in the tournament with prices anywhere between, you're shopping around 100 to 1 to 190 to 1. That is absolutely insanity to cash a ticket like that. But congratulations to her, because also when you have the opportunity to win a major championship, when quite frankly, who knows if you even get back, you better take care of business when you get there. She did that, so congratulations. So, you can't take those majors away. She has one now, and that's said and done it.
From the handicapping perspective, Donnie, you are spot on. 190 to 1 on Krejcikova before the tournament got started. Tied for the 38th best price for the last 3 years. The Wimbledon women's champ has had a price at 100 to 1 or greater pre-tournament. Take those big plus money prices and cash some tickets. The favorite on Sunday entering the European Championship final, that was the Spaniards at a minus 138 price against England to win their 4th Euro title of all time. That would be a record. It is a record, as the Spanish beat the English 2-1 in the 2024 Euro final. Spain sets a new mark of European success and dominance in men's soccer. Their 4th Euro title all time. Nico Williams scoring first right after the break in the 47th minute to get the Spaniards on the board. Cole Palmer answers and equalizes for England in the 73rd minute. And for the first time, it seemed as though the English maybe had some momentum. Only Mikel Oyarzabal scoring for Spain in the 86th minute. That the game winner. It is not coming home, but got so close once again. Spain, their fourth European championship in their history.
Yeah, it would have been crazy to watch that, championship celebration in England come this morning and probably all throughout the week had they brought it home, but they weren't able to do so. Quite frankly, they really weren't the better team coming in. I know the rooting interest there, from our end of it in our pick sixes on Friday was like, you know what? I think England has a chance. They better get it done. And quite frankly, you would have asked any English fan, by the way, this bad boy is going to be 1-1 late in the second half. They would have taken that every single time. But it was apparent Spain was the better team. They deserved and played a wonderful tournament. 2-1 victory here. Another championship for the Spaniards.
Scoreless in the opening half, but really Spain dominant in terms of ball possession all game long. You would probably argue that for 75 of the 90 minutes in regulation, the Spanish side was the better side by far, but there was a glimpse of hope for England to maybe bring it home and win their first major international men's title since 1966. They finished as a runner-up in each of the last two European championships. The Copa America title in Miami and the Scottish Open ahead of the Open Championship this week in Scotland as well next.
It is Canada. Canada is one of those teams that's the darling of the tournament right now. They're still 9-1.
To win a tournament, or even to advance far into a tournament like this, you need a bit of good fortune. And it doesn't matter if you're getting the good fortune that Canada has, where they played two matches where they were up a man, or you had the good fortune of Argentina, who's one of the best teams in the world, who just got on the good side of the draw.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I want to know, too, what was the highest you ever got on both of those metrics?
So the highest club head speed I've ever gotten with a 45-inch driver, we'll just say stock, was, I think it was 129.9. I never cracked 130. Never cracked 130. That was juice. That was on caffeine. I can't even talk. And then I got 195 ball speed.
195 ball speed.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
A disaster in Miami before the match yesterday at the Copa America title. But then the actual game itself, a thriller into extra time where the world champs still stand atop the world, at least in North America and South America and Central America at the Copa America crown. Argentina victorious in its last three major international tournaments. The 2021 Copa America, the 2022 World Cup, the 2024 Copa America as well, as Lautaro Martinez scores in the 112th minute for the Argentines. That the only in-game winning goal as Argentina stands atop the world once again with a Copa America crown.
And it was pretty impressive to watch it play out. And also, we were talking about it Friday, like big events. Like, we like to watch those. I actually didn't really catch much, if at all, of that England game in the afternoon. You know, sort of flipped around, checked in, but really was doing things. But at night, and it's a shame that it started an hour and a half late, I probably would have watched the entire game, because once you see on social media the buildup where they're basically breaking through the guards here and rushing in just to get to their seats and or not their seats to make them their seats, I was like, you know what? This is going to be a spectacle. And before we get to the game itself, I'm actually surprised that this game was actually played, because the one thing that we do know is it's not as if it's like we're going to break into a high school gym and there's 25 extra people in there. We have to clear it out. You are talking about people that paid thousands of dollars for tickets, 65,000 seats, and maybe 80,000 people in the building. We've seen some crazy scenarios overseas where that doesn't work out in the best way. And quite frankly, we're lucky that we're talking about this game and what happened on the field as opposed to what happened off the field after it, because it could have been a really bad scenario. Having said that, Argentina, I didn't even think, Ben, because, you know, not watching a lot of the second half live, just catching the highlights today, obviously with the goal scoring in the 112th minute. But I thought Colombia was the better team in the first half all the way through. I thought they controlled the chances at this point. They just weren't able to score. And as we know across the sports landscape, when you don't handle your business, you know the way it typically turns out. Because Argentina, technically, yes, the better team, and they were the better team in the second half. But I thought if Colombia could have got that, you know, first goal to start off, this would have been very, very interesting to watch. But on a hot, muggy night in Miami, boy, that flavor was out there last night, and Argentina won 1-0, and deservedly so. Best in the world, right?
It's just unfortunate that two of the final matches in the Copa America tournament are going to be plagued by off-the-field controversy based on fan attendance and poor security staffing at stadiums. Of course, in Charlotte, the Uruguayan players going into the crowd to fight Colombian fans following that semifinal match. And all that we saw yesterday, 2 hours before the match, overwhelming security gates, fans who were ticketed or unticketed getting into the stadium. So they shut down every entrance, causing the delay. And then at a certain point, so overwhelmed and unable to figure out a solution, they just said, let everybody in. And it was a mad rush, and it was chaos. It was crazy. And it would be easy to look at the U.S. 2 years before we host, in large part, here in North America, the 2026 World Cup, and say we are unfit to do so. But this is not FIFA. This is not the United States Soccer Federation. It's CONMEBOL that is the organizing group behind Copa America. It is on them in their failure. Again, it is upsetting that it takes away from what should have been a celebration of soccer last night in South Florida. Lautaro Martinez, by the way, the game-winning goal, his fifth of the Copa America tournament. That was the most that we saw throughout the entirety of this tourney. Now, quickly, we go to the golf at the Scottish Open. Robert McIntyre, the native from Oban, Scotland, the first in 25 years to be a native Scot and to win the Scottish Open. His second PGA Tour victory of this season. Also won the Canadian Open a few months ago with his dad on the bag. What a summer it has been for the man known as Bob. He'll get ready for the Scottish Open, turning into the Open Championship this week at Royal Troon.
Yeah, this isn't one where like, hey, you know what, this is a huge win for me, my native land here, I'm going to take the next week off. You got to get ready to go again in an even bigger tournament to try to take it down. And boy, winning the Scottish and then the British Open, that would be something to behold. But I always like a good comeback story where you're down on Saturday and you turn on that heat with a 67 on Sunday when all the pressure is on you to pull up that victory. 1.5 million. And also, shout out to PGA Tour in that sort of like co-sanctioned type event where it used to be some guys would go over and tee it up to get ready for the Open. Now a lot of superstars go over and tee it up. So the PGA has done a lot of good things this year, Ben, around major tournaments, making sure that it's not like a ghost town before and after the majors. So good on them.
Robert McIntyre, eagle on 16, birdie on 18 to come back to win. Rory McIlroy, the defending champ from last year, did finish in the top five, the first time we had seen Rory since the U.S. Open. Scotty Scheffler in the field this week at the Open Championship at Royal Troon. He's the favorite. MLB recaps next.
is Canada. You know, Canada is one of those teams that's the darling of the tournament right now. They're still 9-1.
To win a tournament, or even to advance far into a tournament like this, you need a bit of good fortune. And it doesn't matter if you're getting the good fortune that Canada has, where they played 2 matches where they were up a man, or you had the good fortune of Argentina, who's one of the best teams in the world, who just got on the good side of the draw.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I want to know, too, what was the highest you ever got on both of those metrics?
So the highest club head speed I've ever gotten with a 45-inch driver, we'll just say stock, was, I think it was 129.9. I never cracked 130. Never cracked 130. That was juice. That was on caffeine. I can't even talk. And then I got 195 ball speed.
195 ball speed.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The final weekend of Major League Baseball before the All-Star break, the unofficial halfway point, if you will, although we're already into the 90s in terms of games played this year around the bigs in MLB. But when it's the final weekend before the All-Star break, everything feels a little bit more significant. You're trying to make that final push to solidify your spot in the standings as you eye the end of July to maybe make some maneuvers and some moves to bolster the roster to be a true contender come October. DRS, that was incredibly important this weekend in Baltimore between the Yankees and the O's. The O's will go into the All-Star break struggling, but a huge victory yesterday. New York and Baltimore entered a game where the Yankees had won the first 2 of this final weekend set, tied in the standings for the top spot in the American League East. And the O's were trailing into the 9th. Ben Rice, the rookie who has been outstanding for the Pinstripes, a 3-run shot in the top of the inning to give the Yanks a 5-3 lead. But the Orioles taking advantage of a few Yankee gaffes in the field, and namely at the end. Cedric Mullins walks it off for Baltimore, 2 RBI double as the O's avoid the sweep, winning 6-5. But it was really Alex Verdugo, New York's left fielder, who came in initially on a ball that sailed over his head as he falls to the ground trying to retreat, that wins it for the O's. Again, the O's avoid the sweep. They hold a 1-game lead entering the All-Star break in the AL East.
Wild is what I want to say about this, because we talk so many times, Ben, about psychological advantages. You go into the 9th inning here. Ben Rice rings up a blast, a 3-run shot, which gives you a 2-run lead. And all of a sudden you're saying, like, we're going to sweep the Orioles. We are going to be back in first place when it's all said and done before that long All-Star break. And Baltimore is going to be like, what happened here? We were supposed to be up 5 to 6 games by the end of the week, and now we're not even in first place, only to see Craig Kimbrell with 1 inning pitched, 3 earned runs, and pick up the victory for the Baltimore Orioles. Sensational comeback. They'll take it any way they can get, because quite frankly, you're not supposed to put a lot of stock in a regular season game in baseball because there's so many of them. But I can't imagine a bigger victory the Baltimore Orioles are going to have this season than the one they just got. Because again, it's only 1 game. We understand it. But if you would have lost that and the Yankees took care of business and overtake you in the standings, then you got to sit there on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday going like, oh my goodness, by the time we get back next Friday, we're not even in first place anymore and stew on that for a week. But now they can take that deep breath and say, you know what? We're still in first place. We got lucky.
Yep.
Let's hit the second half hard and see what happens. What a big time win for the Orioles. And you're not supposed to say that in the month of July.
The Yanks were a slight road favorite yesterday as well, but Baltimore avoids that sweep. Defensive gaps by the Yankees down the stretch, but New York has rallied ever so slightly. Of course, last week the story for New York, they had dropped 15 of their last 20. At this point a week ago, Baltimore had a 3-game advantage in the American League East, minus 150. They entered the final weekend series against the Pinstripes with a 2-game lead, minus 130 to win the division. The Yankees closed the gap. They do lose yesterday. They could have entered with a 1-game lead. Now they trail by a full game. Same amount of wins for both of these two teams, 58-40 for New York, 58-38 for Baltimore. But, of course, the O's 2 less games played and 2 fewer losses. And, again, we are at the All-Star break, but it's not 80, 81, 82 games. The Yankees have played near 100, 98 in total this year. But, Donnie, the main difference that we do want to highlight, look at the odds to win the American League East. Again, entering the series, the Orioles were an odds-on favorite, minus money at minus 130. Now it's the Yanks back into minus money at minus 125.
And boy, did they need that. And again, this still goes back, Ben, the last week and a half when the Yankees were struggling. And I was saying, don't panic on the Yankees. Like, things are going to happen. You're going to play great baseball. You're going to play some bad baseball. But now that they come back into the All-Star break and say, okay, 1 game behind the Orioles, let's see what happens. Now, also keep in mind, Home Run Derby tonight, All-Star Game Tuesday, a couple days off. By the time you get back Friday, we're under 2 weeks before the trade deadline is going to take place. So the organizations now probably take this week and say, hey, we're not going on vacation as a front office. Let's lay out our game plan for the next 2 weeks. Should we be 3 or 4 games up? Should we be 3 or 4 games back? And what some of these prospects we have to flip to getting some of these frontline players. Because as we talked about, sometimes it's not so much about what you're doing right now, but what you do at the deadline. Are you going to get that extra arm that's going to help the Orioles or the Yankees? And also keep in mind, both of these teams, and just like other teams that think they can win a championship this year, you're going to up the ante on the other team. So you're sort of like saying, all right, well, if we don't need a starting pitcher, well, we don't want the Orioles to get that starting pitcher, so maybe we make a move or try to block them or raise the prospects here to cost them more money. The cat and mouse games that are going to be played over the next 2 weeks are going to be fun to watch, particularly between the Yankees and the Orioles.
Only 50 cents separated these two teams to win the pennant before this series got underway. The Yankees extend that lead ever so slightly, plus 240, plus 310 on the other side for the O's. But again, still the two teams atop both the American League from the odds perspective and, of course, in the division. Another divisional duel, an in-state showdown to end out the final weekend before the All-Star break. The Rangers and the Astros in H-Town this weekend. Texas, a road underdog yesterday, victorious in the series to take the rubber match and to take the weekend set 4-2. It was the day of Josh Smith for the Rangers. 2 home runs, all 4 RBIs off his bat as Texas wins this series and also wins 7 of their last 9 before the All-Star break. 4-2 the victory in the series finale yesterday in Houston.
Talent starting to come back into that lineup. And now also, what do we think of when we hear Max Scherzer? 7 1/3 innings pitched, 115 pitches, 11 Ks, and a win, right? That's what we always anticipate. Still trying to work his way back. 4 innings pitched, only 1 run given up here through 71 pitches, but an ERA that is under 3. If you can get some of these guys back in the lineup in the pitching side of it, if you're Texas, maybe the sky is the limit because you're taking a look at those standings there. And it's obviously the Mariners who haven't played great baseball and about this, losing 3 games into the All-Star break, not going to help with the Rangers. 7-3 in their last 10 games, 5 games back, and now getting healthy. Boy, that is going to be a wild West for the remaining parts of this summer and into the early fall, which I told you last week, getting a little bit crazy maybe on those Texas Rangers if they can make it into the playoffs. It's not like, hey, they got to the playoffs. They're not used to winning there. No. They got rings on their finger. Maybe they can do it again by catching lightning in a bottle.
Hosting the All-Star break festivities, the Midsummer Classic tomorrow, of course, in Arlington. And the Rangers starting to, ever so slightly perhaps, look like they have that might of the reigning World Series champs. Again, victories in 7 of their last 9 entering the All-Star break. And despite the weekend series defeat, the Astros still winners of 17 of their last 23 entering the All-Star break. The Mariners dropped their final 3 games of their 4-game set in Anaheim against the Angels. Only a 1-game advantage now over Houston atop that division. We talked about the 2 teams atop the American League East, but they got to keep an eye on the team that sits in third, those Boston Red Sox. A season best 11 games above 500 as the Red Sox win this weekend series finale to take the rubber match and the set against the Royals. 5-4 the victory for Boston. They won 5-0 on Saturday afternoon with myself in attendance for the first time ever at Fenway Park. Rafi Devers hit a home run on Saturday, hits a 2-run shot on Sunday. Donovan Smith had 3 RBIs as well in Boston. Again, only 4.5 games back of the Baltimore Orioles of that top spot of the American League East.
Yeah, how about Bayo goes 6 1/3 innings pitched, 3 earned runs. And again, lowers his ERA to 5.32. You need much better out of him. But also, Rafael Devers has been tremendous. I like this young lineup that they have surrounded by Rafael Devers. But also keep in mind, some of the players that we were talking about like a month ago, like, hey, that's a luxury to have Kenley Jansen. I wonder who the Red Sox are going to flip him for at the deadline for prospects. Now you see the Red Sox at 53 and 42. They're not flipping any prospects. Matter of fact, they should be going out and spending money because they got a quality team right now. Same thing with the Orioles. Great start there, trying to hang on. They need a little bit of help as well. But the Red Sox, one of those teams that we did not anticipating doing much in 2024, right in the thick of it now.
On June 11th, Boston was 33 and 34. From that point, 20 and 8, 11 games above 500, and seemingly a contender in the American League, even from a wild card position. More around the final weekend before the All-Star break next.
It is Canada. You know, Canada is one of those teams that's the darling of the tournament right now. They're still 9-1.
To win a tournament, or even to advance far into a tournament like this, you need a bit of good fortune. And it doesn't matter if you're getting the good fortune that Canada has, where they played 2 matches where they were up a man, or you had the good fortune of Argentina, who's one of the best teams in the world, who just got on the good side of the draw.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I want to know, too, what was the highest you ever got on both of those metrics?
So the highest club head speed I've ever gotten with a 45-inch driver, we'll just say stock, was, I think it was 129.9. I never cracked 130. Never cracked 130. That was juice. That was on caffeine. I can't even talk. And then I got 195 ball speed.
195 ball speed.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Around the final weekend of Major League Baseball, entering the All-Star break, the Home Run Derby on this Monday, the Midsummer Classic, the All-Star Game tomorrow in Arlington. So the final weekend of series that we have in the regular season before we get to the All-Star break. Now we go out to the National League. In Southern California, the Atlanta Braves and the San Diego Padres in the rubber match. Atlanta takes the rubber match, and they take the series. Victorious yesterday 6-3 with their ace, Chris Sale, on the bump. Atlanta was booked as a minus 166 road money line favorite. Total of 7.5 does go over. Travis d'Arnaud, 2 home runs, 4 ribbies in the win, catching Sale yesterday, who wins his 13th game of the season, the most in Major League Baseball here at the All-Star break. 13 wins, 13-3, a 2.70 ERA after 5 innings of work and only allowing a single earned run. The Braves victorious in San Diego this weekend.
Yeah, needed that victory, too, because the Phillies got absolutely hammered, so it helped them get one of those games back here, decompress over the break. But that's what you expected out of Chris Sale. 5 innings pitched, only 1 earned run. And quite frankly, the Padres did take the lead in that game in the bottom of the first inning. They probably should have tacked on more runs here, weren't able to do so. Then the Braves sort of scored, 1 in the fourth, 1 run in the fifth, and then 3 runs in the sixth. That game was pretty much all but said and done at that point here. The Padres would be an interesting team here in the second half at 50-49 at the break. But also, the Atlanta Braves just cruising along. They're not going to win the East here, but they will be in the playoffs. And as I've always said, it's a very, very good front office. I'm actually intrigued with the moves that they're going to make at the deadline. Because keep in mind, if you're saying like from the deadline that they've been winners for the past couple years, look at that off season. It's like, we're going to get Chris Sale, see what happens. Phenomenal. Reynaldo Lopez, see what happens. Phenomenal here. They make all the right changes here, and I'm intrigued to see what they actually do at the deadline coming up in about 2 weeks.
The Atlanta Braves still trail the Phillies by 8.5 games in the National League East. The Phils lost yesterday 18-3 against the Oakland Athletics. 3 guys on the A's had multiple home runs, and they do lose the weekend against the Athletics, but despite that, still a substantial lead and still the best record in all of baseball. But the Braves sit the top spot in the National League wild card, 3.5 games in front of the Cardinals, who have that second of 3 spots, 4 games in front of the New York Mets. So Atlanta in a comfortable postseason position as of this moment. Now we go elsewhere around Major League Baseball. I think the Dodgers DRS very happy to see the All-Star break. They still are going to have to get a ton of guys off the injured list when they return in late July. But the Dodgers yesterday in Detroit lose 4-3. LA nearly $1.50 favorite on the road in the Motor City. Yohan Ramirez suffers the loss for LA, had multiple errors on the bump for the Dodgers that allowed Detroit to come back and win. The Dodgers scored 3 runs, all in the first. Seemed like they would have a comfortable lead. Not the case. The Tigers take the series against LA.
Yeah, how about that? Surprising, too. Watching on Saturday, a complete meltdown by the Los Angeles Dodgers. And then how do you get over that meltdown on Sunday? Let's build a lead again and just still close out the Detroit Tigers. You see them score 3 runs in the top of the first inning. You probably thought they would be on their way to 18 runs like the Oakland Athletics. They didn't score the rest of the way and blew that game once again late. That's a tough pill to swallow here for the Dodgers, who we're not really worried about the 1 through 9. We're just worried about that entire pitching staff as a whole right now. That's a bad loss. But again, nobody's really pressuring them out there in the NL West to sort of take over that mantle and playing great baseball. So it's almost like the Dodgers floundering, but it doesn't technically matter and not impacting overall on their World Series odds that much, because why? They're still going to be the number 2 overall seed, as it looks like here in the NL.
Right. But it is interesting because the gap that the Dodgers used to have as one of the short favorites to win both the National League pennant and the World Series is tightening rather significantly. Now only 20 cents in front of the Philadelphia Phillies. They were up by about 55 cents despite being swept in Philly earlier this week in their second to last set. The Dodgers will enter the All-Star break losing 8 of their last 11 games. Meanwhile, the Tigers, victorious in 10 of their last 14, playing much better baseball, entering the All-Star break. But to Donnie's point, when you look around the NL, the Phils, still the best record, 62-34, still the best record in all of Major League Baseball. As of this moment, the Dodgers still the second best mark in the NL. The Diamondbacks lost the series to the Blue Jays. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., a late home run to win one for Toronto in the desert, 8-7. But the D-backs still a game above 500. The Padres still a game above 500. But both teams 7 full games back of the Dodgers in the National League West. Let's go elsewhere around Major League Baseball. Donnie, we talked about the race in the American League West. The Mariners only a 1-game lead only a one-game lead entering the All-Star break, despite for most of the season so far being the only team with a winning record. They lose their final 3 games of a 4-game set in Anaheim to the Halos. So now, again, only 1 game above the Houston Astros in the division. Seattle will enter the break, losing 9 of the last 14.
Yeah, it's amazing. And again, it's something that you look at and say, well, the Mariners should have the perfect recipe here. Good pitching staff, decent lineup. Other teams in your division not playing great baseball, maybe it's your time. They just couldn't seize the opportunity. They had a few games lead here. It seemed like for April, May, and June was theirs. And now you're taking a look at it slipping away, and you're saying the pedigree is going to overtake Seattle. Because if you do get healthy with the Texas Rangers, if the Astros continue just to play good baseball, I don't see the Seattle Mariners holding on at this point. Like, you're blowing a game like Gilbert goes 7 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs. You lost that game to the Angels. That should be a 7-0 win over the Angels, who were throwing Fulmer on the mound. Not even a pedigree guy themselves here. This is just a terrible look. And sometimes the All-Star break does come at the right time for teams. But is anybody saying right now, like, you know what? I'm going to the FanDuel Sportsbook. I bet the Seattle Mariners, they're still going to win the West. It doesn't feel like that right now.
No, absolutely not, Donnie. I wouldn't. And that's really where the Astros should live in the AL West. Only 1 game back. But because of how competitive the the wild card race is now in the American League, with the Yankees sitting in that first place spot, the Twins, then the Red Sox, you have teams like the Royals that are now 2 games back. The Astros 3.5 games back of wild card contention. It's really in the American League East. The Rays take 2 of 3 in this final weekend set against the Cleveland Guardians. The Guardians still the best record ever so slightly, 1 fewer loss than Baltimore entering the All-Star break. And when you look around elsewhere in the majors, there's a lot that we will discuss over these next few days. A quadruple header on Sunday in the W. Next.
It is Canada. You know, Canada is one of those teams that's the darling of the tournament right now. They're still 9-1.
To win a tournament, or even to advance far into a tournament like this, you need a bit of good fortune. And it doesn't matter if you're getting the good fortune that Canada has, where they played 2 matches where they were up a man, or you had the good fortune of Argentina, who's one of the best teams in the world, who just got on the good side of the draw.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I want to know, too, what was the highest you ever got on both of those metrics?
So the highest club head speed I've ever gotten with a 45-inch driver, we'll just say stock, was, I think it was 129.9. I never cracked 130. Never cracked 130. That was juice. That was on caffeine. I can't even talk. And then I got 195 ball speed.
195 ball speed.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Live right here on this Monday morning on the early line on SportsGrid. We look back now on a Sunday of 4 games in the WNBA. Only a couple more contests before we get to the Olympic break that will feature the All-Star game out in Phoenix in the WNBA. But we look back on a 4-game set from yesterday, including in Minneapolis, a place that Caitlin Clark has had great success throughout her career at Iowa, where they would host the Big Ten tournament. The Hawkeyes, of course, playing in the Big Ten tournament. It was Caitlin Clark's final game for the Hawks in that building in Big Ten play. It was where she said she attended her first WNBA game, so you knew there would be a lot of Fever fans, a lot of CC fans, and it felt like a home game for Indiana on the road in the Twin Cities against one of the best teams in the W. And it was reflected in a Fever outright win as a 4.5-point dog over the Lynx, 81-74. It wasn't so much Caitlin Clark, who struggled in the opening half, played better in the second. It was her teammate Aaliyah Boston. 17 points, 16 boards in Kelsey Mitchell, an all-star as well. A game-high 21 points to lead Indiana to a huge road win in Minneapolis.
Fantastic win, and also this team is learning how to win, which is a sign of a coach that actually has the respect of the players, something we were questioning, Ben, opening up with the first couple games of the season, like, oh, maybe this coach isn't right for them. They're now moving up to 11-14, which, that doesn't sound that great. They're well on their win pace here from last year to certainly surpass that and continue to move. But also the Lynx entered that game 16-7 overall, now 16-8, and also a lot of emotion going into a coach on the opposite sidelines where you know that having all those fans in that building and playing so well, and Aaliyah Boston 17-16, and overcoming a deficit and winning that game, seemingly to clap and stare multiple times in that fourth quarter. That was a bigger victory than we know for the Fever here, Ben.
Why is that, DRS? Because the coach of the Minnesota Lynx is also the coach of the United States women's basketball team, Team USA, for Olympic hoops. That's Cheryl Reeve, who did not seem so pleased with how yesterday went in the Twin Cities. Caitlin Clark struggled in that opening half, but did finish with 17 points and 6 dimes. She is now minus 1050 to win the WNBA Rookie of the Year. That, of course, also reflected in the fact that Angel Reese, in the streak of the historic double-double marks, consecutively comes to a close over the weekend against the New York Liberty. And maybe some poking holes in just how legitimate the streak was with how the last few games have gone for the Chicago Sky. As we look around the weekend of scores, as we mentioned Saturday, the Liberty a victory over Chicago. The LA Sparks in a battle of the bottom feeders in the WNBA to edge out the Dallas Wings. But how about the Connecticut Sun, DRS? Yesterday, 96-69, a victory for the Sun, one of the best teams in the W. When you look at what Connecticut has done, 18-5, ties the best start in franchise history that they set back in the mid-2000s, easily covering as a 7.5-point favorite yesterday in that victory for Connecticut.
Hey, take a look at the top 5 teams in the standings overall in the WNBA. 20-4, 18-5, 16-7, 16-8, and 16-8. So you got a lot of really good teams in that top 5 here. Just going to see how they play down the stretch at that point. But that is a blowout victory yesterday, nonetheless here. And you take a look at Phoenix, now 12-12 on the season, losers of 2 straight games. Where they go from here, but an exciting weekend overall. And yes, watching on Saturday where the double teams, the triple teams, the quadruple teams down the stretch really brought a smile to my eye, because if you're going to take a look at saying, I need a double-double every game at all costs, other teams now will say, well, at all costs, we're going to hold you from getting that double-double. Love to see the gamesmanship on a day-to-day basis, what we're seeing in the WNBA.
Listen, it's only fair, right? If you're down double digits but still playing like you're trying to hit the winning bucket to win a WNBA championship, it deserves the defensive intensity and effort on the other side. And the Liberty certainly showed that on Saturday. The Aces victorious yesterday, 12.5-point favorite for Las Vegas. They win by 12 over the Washington Mystics. We're actually trailing at the break, 89-77. And what else can you say about A'ja Wilson? 28 points. 17 boards. The Aces, since the return of Chelsea Gray, have run 10 of their last 11. The 2-time reigning champs trying to become just the second ever 3-time champion consecutively in WNBA history, looking the part as of right now.
9-1 in their last 10 games, and that's certainly no outstanding love there for what you're getting out of the superstar players on that team, but also getting your point guard back. They're rounding into form. This is why they're the favorites here on the season, and they'll continue to be that. Who knows where they end up by the end of the regular season?
Plus 145, 25 cents in front of New York. The Liberty, the first team to 20 wins. Asia Wilson, by the way, minus 3,000 to win the WNBA MVP hardware. Hour 2 starts next.